Hello, and thanks again for joining us. I'm Lane Shelton, along with my co-host Andy Bernard, and this is our EA Shakeup Series, Episode 1. So we thought we'd start with the most important thing, which is what do you have to do between now and October 31st?
Yep. Yep. Preparing for November 1st, hands-on guide to what customers need to do before November 1st to really protect pricing, prepare for the licensing shift that's coming up. So,
Now,
we,
one thing, if you're, obviously we've got a slide deck that goes with this. We're in the studio, so we're
yep.
we're going to talk through this. But if you want to download that slide deck, take a minute, hit pause, download the slide deck, so you can follow along with the details at home. But we wanted to start with just kind of going over just a quick recap of what the big change was, and very simply, Microsoft has eliminated what they call waterfall discounts in the enterprise agreement. And that means there used to be level A, level B, level C, level D. That was based on how many seats you had in your enterprise agreement. And there were increasingly great discounts. Obviously, level D was the highest in the enterprise agreement. Come November 1st, those levels will be the levels will still be there, but the pricing has been leveled basically. So if you know what their published list price is, that's where the pricing always started, and then A had a discount, B bigger discount, C, and so on and so forth. It's all going to be set to that level pricing, to that their published web pricing, which means that the bigger you are, the more that increase is going to impact you when your next renewal comes after November 1st. Andy, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just maybe some percentages here on the slide. Level B, you're looking at about 6% for an online service impact there compared to what the new pricing will be at level A, 9% for level C, and 12% for level D. So, like Layton said, the larger that you are, those level Ds, it's going to be a higher percentage. And it is only on online services. So, like on-prem software assurance only items, it's not impacting any of those. U.S. government and education customers also are not being impacted. So, just kind of a quick review on
And
the
so
program.
basically, whatever your renewal is coming up after November 1st, that will be when these changes take effect, with one very important exception, and that's that any new products that you add uh, after November 1st will also be, if it's an online service, will also be added at the new leveled rate. And that's the purpose of this episode,
Yep.
is what do you immediately need to do between now and the end of October in order to sort of future proof what's left of your current enterprise agreement, so that you can make sure that that you avoid this price increase under for things that you may need between now and that renewal. So basically, the way this works is you want to look at everything that you think you're going to need. So we kind of broke this down into a sort of a to-do list. Step one is obviously examine your inventory and agreements and look at what you own, right? Remember, when you have those complex enterprise agreements, they have those price sheets, and that sort of lists everything that's in scope for your agreement. So that's all the stuff you have that's price protected. So job one is to pull your CPS, go
Yep.
into the volume licensing portal. You can find the same kind of information there, right,
Yeah,
Andy?
and we can help pull that too. If you need us to pull us your customer price sheet or current inventory, maybe you've ordered something already that's new that isn't on your customer price sheet. Like we'll pull the inventory, let you know what is price locked. And then there is a download as well that customers can take from this recording. It has all the products in there. If you figure out like what quantities that you need, work with your SHI team, and we'll help you through either making a reservation, or if we have to place an order, we can take action to do that before October 31st and get it locked in.
Nice. So just to recap, like we've got a list for you, sort of we created a worksheet that's downloadable along with the deck,
Yeah.
so you can kind of make a plan for what do I need. So step one, figure out what you've got in stock, in your inventory today. And then the next most important thing is your next big milestone is that renewal. For some of you, that might be 3 years out, that
Yep.
might be 2 years out, that might be 1 year out, that might be 6 months out, whatever that endpoint is. Remember, you'll be impacted across the board for online services when that renewal event happens. What you want to be able to do once you do step one, which is get your inventory together, is you want to be able to then figure out what do you need and what might you need between now and the end of that renewal? Is that?
Yeah, for sure. If it is going to be different too. Like you said, if it's 6 months versus 2.5 years out. If it's longer period, you're going to want to try to get something ordered or reserved to get it locked in for that longer duration. If it is maybe shorter, 6 months or something, the next episode we'll talk about like early renewal, what that looks like, pros and cons. So it'll be a little bit different on what your to do should be, based on when the end date of your agreement would be.
Yeah. Now, the nice thing is a lot of these too, if you add it, you can turn it off again.
Yeah.
If you decide, like,
Yep.
let's say you have 2.5 years to go and you say, you know what, let's go ahead and do a POC of Teams Premium.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and lock that
Let's
in.
add
50,
one.
add 1, add 50, add
Yep.
25, whatever that, whatever you're comfortable with. And then a year goes by and you never get to it. And you're like, you know what, we're not going to do Teams Premium. We bought Copilot or whatever the case may be. In most cases, you can turn those.
Yep.
There's a few things you can't turn off in Dynamics world, but for the most part, you can turn those subscriptions off if you wanted to. So you're not continuing to pay for shelfware. So there's very little risk in sort of looking at your roadmap and making sure that you're future proof by adding something, at least even, I mean, quantity one will get the job done too, right? It doesn't have to be,
quantity one just to lock it in.
Yep. Just
exactly.
to lock in the pricing. So, use that worksheet, think it through, and then decide what you want to add so that you have access to it, at the reduced rate. Word of caution, though, remember that reduced rate only lasts until the end of your enterprise agreement. So from a budgeting perspective, you still want to think about the cost at the new rate because that's going to be long term. That's going to that's how it's going to be thereafter. So you want to make sure that you're on a sustainable path so that okay, if I acquire this technology at this price, when the renewal comes and that price goes up, I'm still going to be able to utilize this technology. Going to break the budget overall.
Yeah. It's not that price locked in forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So you got to be careful. Okay. So use the list, figure out, where you're at, what you want to add. Once you've sort of made your list and say, okay, these are the things that I want to add, what do you do next?
Yeah, really, it's going to be depending on if you can make a reservation. If you prefer to do that, that will get you, the service up front, and then you can actually defer in enterprise agreements to actually wait till you place an order for your actual true up period. There are some select SKUs though, that are not available for reservation. So some of those would be like team services, like Teams Premium for sure is one. You have to order quantity one before you're able to do a reservation on it. If there's lead status SKUs, so think like GCC customers, GCC high tenancy customers. If there's anything new that you haven't ordered before, it's not going to be available for reservation. So it does depend on the SKU. That's really where SHI can come in and help and understand if an order is required, if the reservation process will work. GitHub Enterprise is not available for reservation. I know that's a big one right now. A lot of customers are looking at, and you have to order every single time. You need to increase your quantity. We've also seen some issues in the M365 admin portal where the portal just doesn't show anything. There's like a glitch in the portal. We've seen, maybe just issues to navigating it. There's 400 different items in the reservation process you can select from. So understanding like what you should reserve. We had somebody last week that was looking at M365 E3, which pretty common, right?
Right.
But when they punched it in the search bar, they used like Microsoft 365 E3, and it was under like M365 E3. So just things like that. So we can help, navigate that, make sure that it is available for reservation. We've seen some issues too, where even though you've ordered it, it hasn't shown up. So then we can open up a ticket with like VLSC support, try to get it populated then so that you can make your reservation. So just kind of some nuances in that process. And if, that isn't the right path, we can always provide a quote, provide a CPS, and actually just place an order that will actually invoice and then lock it in that way. So
I think probably a good piece of advice is to do that. Like, don't wait till October 30th, just in case there's a glitch, just in case something doesn't make sense, or you end up choosing the wrong thing. Because like you said, that reservation process can be fraught with peril. So do that, maybe by like the 15th,
Yeah.
have your list ready. Because it's high stakes, probably get with your SHI, CSM, or LE,
Yep.
to say, hey, here's the stuff I want to add. I just want to make sure I'm going to do this right. Like, make sure I don't want to, if I have any problems, we have time to remediate
Yep.
those problems.
Yep.
Because once that deadline passes, we're done. So this is one of those things where like measure twice and cut once.
Yeah.
So make your list, phone a friend, phone a friend,
Yep.
and get some help to make sure that it all goes
So,
according to plan.
Lane, how about like quantities, significant quantities versus maybe we're on the fence, like should I rush into this and like what what are some advice that you got on like the quantities that we're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at a big quantity, then you might want to, if it's and you want to add it via amendment to your
Yeah.
CPS.
Yeah.
Of course, that takes time too, so you have to really move fast. So if you've got, probably the best bet right now is to do minimum quantities, right? Because,
Yeah, I
but
think
the
so.
problem then being is if you've got a big rollout coming, you're gonna want you might want to talk to Microsoft about a better price than the
Standard
the
price.
standard
Yeah.
price. So if you're gonna, if you look at your roadmap and you're like, wow, we were gonna buy, I don't know, 1,000 Copilots in January, or we were going to buy, Intune Suite for everybody in February or whatever, you know, might think about, depending on the quantities, if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to add those to your agreement, might be worth a conversation with Microsoft before you do it, because if they're going to give you any additional incentives on something, it's
Yeah.
got to be done via CPS,
Yep.
and we don't know if there's going to be grace periods yet, or
Yeah, and like you said, it'll take time. Usually,
yeah,
like a customer price sheet can take a couple days. So,
yep, yeah. So
yeah,
I
and
think
then I
that's a
think,
that's a good point. Yeah, if you've got a big quantity coming up, you might want to think about that.
yeah, or just do one and get it locked in and
Yeah.
see where the roadmap goes, right? Like,
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably good to err on the side of caution here. Like, be speculative, get your list together, get at least one of everything. You can, but like I said, if you have something big on the radar that you know about, that you're certain about, that might be
Yeah.
worth a different look.
I also, this is kind of interesting on with the next slide here. We ran a report for all the agreements that SHI owns and just threw a list together on like top subscriptions that have been ordered. So that's what the next slide is all around, just to kind of give maybe some ideas if somebody just doesn't know. So just the top ordered subscriptions by our customer base, and then just a note there on being able to download that product checklist.
Yeah, we also gave you a reservation, like the step-by-step guide to reservations. Some of y'all are old hat at reservations. You can do them in your sleep. That's fine, cool, but at least there's the process if you're unfamiliar with it, or again, this given the fact that you don't get a second chance after November 1st, probably a good idea to review it and make sure you select the right stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So download your list, make your selections. Recommend get with your SHI, LE, or CSM so you can, that you can work through that. Make sure okay, oh, this one needs a CPS. This one I can just do a reservation, but here's the right reservation. I did it. I can see it in the report. We validate that it's the right thing. And that'll get you started, and that'll get you ready for the end of October.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody, and we look forward to talking with you on the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.